All right. Peace and love, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy 2022. A new year, a new you. We're back. Today is the second day of the year 2022. We'll talk about that in a moment. But glad to be here with you all to kind of kick off the new year, going into some new things. And I'm sure that people have a lot of new hopes and dreams, and people making resolutions and doing manifestos and other things that have some goals and such for this year, as tends to be the case at the start of any new year. And I certainly wish you all the best with that and all of the things that you have uh, goals and dreams for to fulfill in this new year. Hello to everybody who's out there, sending a bunch of love your way. Whoever's out there, I always love to know who's present. So if you could, excuse me, just drop in the comments hello or a wave or something. That's the only way for me to know who's present with us. But it's always a joy to be here with you all. I don't know why this happens. I don't need to clear my throat until I start going live for some reason. I need to do some healing on that. But at any rate, it's a joy to be here with you all as always. And here we are, kicking off a new year with our live broadcast on YouTube and on Facebook, and got to start doing this on Instagram too. But I want to let's start. Hello, Ruby. Good to see you. And I'll look forward to seeing you Wednesday evening as well, if you're able to make it. So here we are in today. Like I said earlier, it's the second day of the year 2022. That's got something on my mind that we'll be kind of looking at and focusing on today. But before we start, I just want to thank everybody who was with us last year in any way who participated in the work that we do and these things that we share. And I'm sending out all kinds of love to you, that whatever wasn't completed or fulfilled in you last year, I pray that that does come to pass for you this year. And that this year shall prove to be the best year that you've had so far, uh, but not as good as 2023. But that's a different thing altogether. But what I would like to say is, as we start off this new year, one of the things that I've come to realize through my journey is that the things that we experience, the challenges that we face and that we experience, aren't rooted in the present. We might experience them in the present, but they're actually rooted in the past, something that took place in the past that's unresolved. You can see I'm all about the love today. In fact, I've got a necklace. I forgot to put that on. And it says love never fails. Wish I had put that on. Then we would have had the three for the 2022. Those three twos. But that actually speaks to what I kind of want to focus on today. We're in a time right now, in a season right now, where people might see, well, anytime we're in this season to a greater or lesser degree, where people may see things from the past showing up. and and so things from the past show up, not necessarily to punish us so much. Hey, what's going on, Danny Stillwell? Good to see you, my sister. Things show up from the past, not so much to punish us as to steer us in the direction that really, on a deeper level, uh, our souls are being drawn to go as we seek to grow and evolve and mature as spiritual beings living on planet Earth, having a human experience. But it's all a spiritual process. It's all a spiritual process. And even whatever's going on in my throat, there's something going on connected to that that needs to be resolved just on a different level. But the reality is that everything that we see that comes up in our lives, different challenges, different healing opportunities, different opportunities for growth that come across us on our path of just living life. Sometimes we experience these things as difficulties. Sometimes we experience these things as painful experiences. Sometimes we experience these things as health challenges. And so a lot of times they're not necessarily pleasant experiences that we're having, but they're coming up in order to come out so that we can move to the next level of our blessing, right? The next level of our blessing. And so here we are on this second day of the year 2022. What are all those twos saying? I'll tell you what they're saying to me. It's no happenstance I'm wearing this shirt, this love shirt, um, or drinking out of this love mug. Uh, the reality is that, and I'm going to end up talking about love regardless anyway, because that's just how I roll and what I'm about. In fact, I was going to wear something totally different, but then I felt led to wear this T-shirt. Um, those twos deal with, to me, hmm, couples, relationships. These things kind of point to that number two. And today again is the second day of the year 2022. We've got four of those twos present in there. What part of the body has four parts in it? I'll give you a clue. Right? And so, as we're starting this new year, we might find that there are things that are coming up, things that might be old things that are coming up that are challenging us to grow in our heart space. There may be unresolved relationship conflicts. There could be uh, things from the past, possibly from a long time ago, that could affect how we're operating as it relates to love, how it impacts us as we deal in interpersonal relationships. You may see somebody from the past popping up. Um, there may be things that might pop up with a parent, um, and that's frequently our introduction to how we'll end up going about our love lives, even, but also how we just relate to people in general. And so these two things that I have with me today, I really wish I had that necklace on. I've been putting it on every day since Christmas, but I haven't put it on yet today. I literally changed into this t-shirt like 2 minutes before we started broadcasting. So my t-shirt is created by a sister named Tracy and a sister named Candace. You're familiar with them from TLC, Danny. Love, they have it as an acronym, lift others very easily. And yes, love is about lifting other people up. Love is about being a blessing in the lives of other people. This healing work that I'm engaged in, that Ruby's engaged in, that other people who are doing the transcending the matrix work are engaged in, is all about love. Love is the tool through which the healing is able to take place. We maintain that God is the healer, we're vessels, and love is the tool through which that healing takes place. And yes, we are called to serve in a spirit of love. We are called to do what we do from a space of love, and we want our love to be able to impact other people. We want our love to be able to lighten other people's load. We want our love, the Scripture says that love covers a multitude of sins. In other words, love covers a multitude of mistakes, a multitude of errors. It lifts burdens. It makes life easier for people. The author Edwin Cole, who's written several Christian-related books, talks about in his book Maximized Manhood, he distinguishes between lust and love. Lust we typically think about from a sexual standpoint, but it's not just limited to that. It certainly applies there, though. But he defines lust as seeking to benefit one's self even at the expense of others, whereas love is seeking to benefit others, even at the cost of oneself. Okay, and so yes, we're about lifting others up. We want other people to be able to rise. We want other people to be able to grow. We want other people to be able to mature. We want other people's burdens to become lighter. But we are limited in the degree to which we can do that and the efficacy to which we can do that by our ability to love ourselves. And this mug says, love you on it. And I'm going to have a sip of water. And so when asked what was the greatest commandment, Jesus said, love God with everything that's in you, with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Okay, this is the greatest commandment. And the second one is really similar. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. And you have to love you in order to love others properly. And so as you're starting to see, and you may be seeing some things coming up already, you may soon to see some things coming up, but we're excuse me, it's an uncomfortable experience to choke on your own spittle. Who else does that from time to time? I do that every once in a while. I'll be talking and choking on my own spit. Sorry if that's disgusting, by the way. My apologies. I didn't intend to be disgusting. But here we are. Here we are at this beginning of this new year, this 2022, on the second day of it. And I would like for us to actually engage in some healing of the heart. Because the reality is, you know what the number one cause of death is? It's not COVID. It's not cancer. It's heart disease. It's heart disease. And why is heart disease the number one? I hear you, Danny. Why, why is heart, my goodness, what is going on with me today? Why is heart disease the number one cause of death? Because there are so many things that we carry in our hearts that we don't allow ourselves to let go of. There's so many things that we carry in our hearts that impact us and that we leave unresolved. Scripture says that in Proverbs 4:23, I don't have any jewelry on now right now. But I've got a bracelet, this copper bracelet I wear sometimes. It has Proverbs 4:23 on it. It says, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flow all the issues of your life. Right? And so that really is dealing with what we allow to dwell in our hearts. And sometimes we allow resentment to dwell in our hearts, and we allow animosity to dwell in our hearts, and we allow unresolved pain to dwell in our hearts. And sometimes, greetings, the curly conscious king. Happy New Year to you as well, my brother. Peace and love to you. Sometimes we allow those things to continue on and to fester in our lives, and we'll find different ways to self-medicate. None of us like pain. None of us like that, right? And so a lot of times we'll find ways to mask that. And we might do things to keep ourselves busy, to distract us from it. We might do things to self-medicate, to take our attention off of it, whether it is these things right here, quickly becoming, actually electronic devices are quickly becoming like a huge, huge addiction. Hey there, Corleen. Happy New Year and peace and love to you as well. I was just thinking about you yesterday, actually. Um, and so, um, one of the things that I want to encourage all of us to do is to just take a moment right now. Just take a moment right now and focus on your heart. Focus on your heart and allow yourself to be present to the beating of your heart. Allow yourself to be present to the beating of your heart. Allow yourself to get in touch with the sacred rhythm of your own heart. Now, as you kind of focus on your heart and you focus on your heartbeat, your heart may be your heart rate may be relaxed, it may be a little bit elevated, whatever the case is. There is a natural rhythm according to which God has created you to flow in. There's a natural rhythm according to which God has created you to flow in. And sometimes we have life experiences that introduce things into us and into our life experiences that we don't properly integrate or properly resolve. And the result of that is it can throw us off of our natural rhythm. It can throw us out of sync with the natural harmony according to which we are designed to operate in the living of our lives, right? And there are life experiences that we can have in our journey that might throw us for a loop sometimes. There are things that we can experience in our journey that we may not always understand, or we might find confusing, or we might find ourselves feeling frustrated by or disappointed by. And our ability to get beyond those things has a tremendous impact on our ability to live the best version of ourselves. So we're talking about in this year 2022, a new year, a new you. Yes, we all have hopefully hopes and dreams for this year. And I certainly have hopes and dreams for all of us that we can grow to another level, that we can be more fully self expressed, right? And I want to, excuse me, I want to continue, I want you to continue to kind of focus on your heart. And I want you to take a moment, I want you to take a moment and allow yourself to get in touch with. We're not going to leave you there. I promise you, we're not going to leave you there. I wanted to take a moment and ask you to get in touch with something that you feel like is standing between you and you flowing in love in the way that you would like to be. When I say flowing in love, I'm talking about both giving love and receiving love. Okay? We're all created to and called to flow in love, to give love and to receive love. Okay? That's the nature of our beingness. We're created in the image and the likeness of God. Text also says that God is love, right? And so that means if God is love and we were created in the image and likeness of God, that our essence is love. And so I want us to get in touch with for a moment and allow ourselves to just do a little bit of self-examination and get in touch with what's going on in our hearts right now. And ask ourselves, pose to yourself this question. What right now is standing between me and the fullness of the love that I would like to give and to receive? And whatever comes up, it's okay. I want to encourage you not to judge whatever comes up and just allow what comes up to come up. It could be something that happened with somebody that you currently are in connection with or in relationship with. It could be something from some past hurt or disappointment. You may feel a bit guarded. You may feel a fear of vulnerability because that vulnerability may have been used against you in the past. You may feel an uncertainty about whether it's safe to be the real you. You may feel some unresolved matter from some previous experience a long, long time ago. Could be that you didn't see healthy examples of it to model. Whatever that is, I want to encourage you to get in touch with it for a moment right now. And beyond that, I want to encourage you to get in touch with the feeling that that brings you, the feeling that that brings you. And allow yourself to, as much as possible, go fully into that feeling experience. Again, we're not going to leave you there. It may feel uncomfortable, but I'm going to challenge you to go there. We're doing some pruning right now. When we're pulling up some weeds so that all of the flowers in your love garden might fully bloom and blossom in this new year. Allow yourself to feel the disappointment, the sadness, the hurt, the anger, the guilt, the animosity, the hatred, whatever is there. Failure to acknowledge it doesn't make it not so. And while these feelings might not be pleasant feelings, it may not feel like the most evolved place to be, the reality is they're not. But if they're there, let's do something about it. Ignoring them doesn't make it go away. Whatever other uncomfortable feelings there might be there, the yearning for revenge, hopelessness, whatever negative emotion might be there, I want to encourage you to allow it to rise to the surface. Just allow it to rise to the surface. You feeling it? Now, what I want you to do in this moment is to invite love into the place where you're feeling those things. Welcome love into the place where those negative emotions may have dwelt. You might have felt things going on in different parts of your body. If so, welcome love into those parts of your body. Welcome love into those past experiences. Welcome love into this present moment now. And know that you doing this, just the act of you doing this, is an expression of self-love. It's a way that you can love you. Just invite the love to come on in. And allow whatever shift comes with it to unfold for you. Let yourself just be with that for a moment. Just be with that for a moment. Let that love in. Some people need to learn to give love more freely. Some people need to learn to receive love more freely, but we all need to learn how to flow in love more freely. All right. How are you all doing out there? How are you feeling? You felt a shift? You feel a little lighter? Lift others very easily, but this is something you can do to lift yourself. Allow yourself to feel lighter. Danny's got a thumbs up. I'm presuming that means that you felt a positive shift. Feeling clearer, Danny says. All right, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Anybody else? How are you feeling? What are you feeling? I'd love to hear from you. And some of you may not be in a frame of mind where you can type just yet. You may want to kind of float for a little while. All right. Curly Conscious King says, feeling clear and grounded. All right, that's wonderful. Glad to hear, well, not glad to hear it. I'm glad to read that. Glad to know that. My prayer is that for all of us, that we might, in moments where things come up for us, that we might, when we can, take a moment. A lot of times we find ourselves being angry or frustrated as a result of a trigger. And what we're experiencing in that moment, what we're experiencing in that moment isn't all about that moment. It's that moment is triggering something unresolved from another moment or from who knows how many other previous moments. I encourage all of us to, when we feel things coming up, to allow ourselves to feel those things and to invite love into the space. Fully feel it. Don't stuff it down. Let the feeling come up and then invite love into the space. Okay. You might find over the next few weeks that different things might be coming up. You might face some opportunities to bring more love into your space, into your heart space, as different things come up. You might find yourself needing to learn to set some healthy boundaries in areas where you haven't before. And you might find yourself needing to, uh, maybe in the form of uh, just whatever form of inner work, whether it's some inner healing work, some journaling, some whatever you therapy, whatever it is that you feel like you need to do, please allow yourself to do it. Please allow yourself to go there so that this year, I really believe that this is an opportunity this year for us to be set free in a lot of different ways, in a lot of different ways, especially as it relates to our hearts and to love. Okay, just by bringing more love into the space. And sometimes, in order to bring love into the space, ooh, we've got to go visit the places where we've not allowed that love to fully reveal itself, or to be the light of love to be fully shined. Okay. And so, anybody who wants to share, I'd love to hear, where your thoughts are right now, how you're feeling, where your thoughts are, what your hopes are. Uh, if there are still any unresolved fears that you might have, I'd love to see that if you want to put it in the chat. And I'm going to take a moment and just offer some healing for anybody who's interested and willing to tap into and receive this. And so, God, I know that you are a healer, that you are the source of all healing. There is no pain, no problem, no obstacle that is beyond your healing power. And I offer myself as a vessel of that healing on behalf of anybody who's present here today, or who catches this replay and is interested in taking advantage of it. I'm so thankful for the uprooting of the root cause of any and all limitations to love, being transmuted and purified at the point of the causal root, and transmuted into and replaced with love that freely flows in us, to us, and through us. And I bear witness to our wholeness and our ability to operate harmoniously and joyously in relationship with you, with ourselves, and with others. And I bear witness to our wholeness on this date and in this time and space called now. Thank you for this gift of your divine love. It is done. It is done. It is done. All right. And so let me just do some exploring, and I'm going to go as we're going into this new year, recognizing that we're impacted by the past. I want to first and foremost look at any type of ancestral issues, things that might have been dwelling in our family lineage, not just ancestors, but even those who are still sucking wind, who are on the planet, who are in our family lineage, who may have some unresolved things that we might be impacted by in some form or fashion. And so I want to take a moment and look at generations back, looking at like 13 generations back. I'm going to clear that on out, bring the love into the space where those issues dwelled, and how many generations forward? Like 3 generations forward, clearing stuff, uh, for them as well, and all generations after that also. And let's look at the total number of ancestral issues surrounding this in all of these generations, going backwards and forward. Okay. All right. Looking at like 3,200,000. That's no problem. We're bringing love into the space for the clearing of all of those issues. Just like a C button on the calculator. The number, how large the number is, doesn't really matter. You hit the C button and it clears it all pretty much instantaneously. All righty. Okay. And let's look at, for a moment, I'm going to take a moment and um, I want to look at the parent-child relationship because this is very significant. Okay. Want to first of all look at um, the relationship between just throughout your family lineage, going both forwards and backwards. Okay. And I want to look at the relationship uh, between self and parent of the opposite sex, self and child of the opposite sex, self and parent of the same sex, and self and child of the same sex. Okay. We want all those to be strong, those connections to be strong and healthy. Okay. Within you. We want them to be strong and healthy within you. All right. And let's look at the stories that we have about the way that people relate to each other. Okay. Whatever stories we've got going on in our minds. Um, you know, the only value that a story has is to what degree it's able to benefit you. If the story doesn't benefit you, well, let's replace it with a better story. Okay. As a matter of fact, all the stuff that we tell ourselves about love, about life, about other people, and about ourselves, all of that stuff about our past, about our future, all of that stuff is a story. The stuff that we worry about, the stuff that we celebrate, all of it's a story. So why not let it be a story that actually lifts you rather than weighs you down? I'm trying to lift others very easily today. So let's see if we can replace that story with just a more fruitful story, or a story that bears better fruit. Okay. More joyous, more harmonious, more fulfilling, more nourishing fruit, right? Okay. First thing I had to eat this year was some fruit, in the form of a smoothie. That's usually the first thing I have in any day, though. All righty. So let's see. All right. Now let's also deal with. I want to take a moment and deal with, like, in general, like the collective consciousness of your family. Okay. Um, any group has its own collective consciousness, and everybody is impacted. Every member of the group is impacted by the consciousness of that group, and every member of the group also contributes to the consciousness of that group. Okay, and so we want to look at the collective consciousness of your family, um, and uh, we want to repair any damage that you've experienced as a function of discordant, disharmonious, dysfunctional, um, you know, collective consciousness within your family unit, your current family, but also even more significantly, your family of origin. Okay. All righty. Okay, and let's actually replace that with just healthy approaches to relating with people. Okay, all right. Even if you didn't have, the ideal examples to look at, um, that you still are able to tap into, and maybe you're the one to start the healthy story. Okay, it's definitely possible. All righty. And with respect to that, I want to address specifically um, broken homes within your own experience as an adult and growing up. Okay, and I want to address particularly any guilt surrounding that, any feelings of inadequacy. Okay, any sense of feeling like it was your fault. Okay, and also any sense of feelings of abandonment. Okay, we want to replace that with you feeling loved, embraced, accepted, and whole. You feeling whole, perfect, and complete within yourself. Tapping into the presence of God dwelling within you. All righty. Okay. And let's look at just let's look for a moment at belief systems as it relates to love and relationships. Okay. No doubt, if you are a human living on planet Earth and you've reached it to the point where you're old enough to be able to pull up this video and watch it, you've got some belief systems that you've established. Um, some might say have been programmed with, um, that impact you and your ability to flow freely in that realm. Okay. And so we want to hold on to the ones that are actually serving your highest and best good. Throw out the ones that aren't. Throw out all the ones that aren't and replace them with something healthy. Okay. Yeah, that's looking a little better. All righty. And okay. All righty. Something else I wanted to look at too. Um, I love movies. Maybe you might enjoy watching movies too. Um, Sometimes we get messed up by the fantasy that we see in movies. So let's address that real quickly. All right. Um, you notice that a lot of times in movies, particularly like romantic comedies, any story is going to have some kind of conflict. Something's going to come up that's going to be a challenge in any story for it to be a good and interesting story. There's some kind of conflict that arises, either a conflict somebody experiences with somebody else, a conflict that they experience within themselves, or a conflict that arises as a result of some situation. Um, but in any story, even the little Hallmark movies, which are pretty predictable, there's always still some kind of challenge, some type of obstacle to overcome, right? But the way that these movies typically unfold is the movie ends when they finally come together. And then we have this, and I'm going to own through and through every fiber of my being, to every fiber in my being, essentially. I am truly a romantic. And so when I say this, um, I'm saying it even being uh, the serious romantic that I am. The reality is that the coming together isn't the most significant part. That's actually where the work really starts. There's some work that it takes to get there, but that's to a degree, it's where the work starts. And sometimes people get the romanticized idea that things are always supposed to be magical in every moment. When the reality is that there are things that come up. There are things that come up that might trigger us from things that were unresolved in the past. And they come up sometimes to help us be the best version of ourselves, to be the most whole version of ourselves. And so sometimes when challenges or problems arise, sometimes we think that, oh, this isn't it. This isn't where I want to be. And so I want to kind of address this energetically, kind of address this issue of, the belief systems that we have that everything is supposed to be peaches and cream all the time in every moment. And if it's not, then something's wrong. And I mean, there may be things that need to be addressed, no doubt. Doesn't necessarily mean that termination is necessary. Danny says, I love a whole version of myself. I know that's right. Okay. And so, this is something significant that's coming up. Expectations. Expectations of other people. Let's address previously unfulfilled expectations. People who failed to meet our expectations, times that we failed to meet the expectations of others. We want to bring both of those into balance and harmony. Okay. And this is something that's coming up significantly, and that is this super powerful P word, projections. There's a lot of stuff that we project on other people that's really our stuff. And one of the huge challenges that we face in our interaction with other people is stuff that we're projecting onto them based on our stories or whatever is going on inside of us. We kind of think that somebody's going to be this way because other people have been that way, or we kind of think somebody's going to be this way because we're that way ourselves, or we presume that somebody needs to do this or needs to do that because that's something that we need to do. But in a lot of ways, we project stuff on other people. We put stuff on other people that really frequently doesn't actually have anything to do with them. And sometimes it may have something to do with them, but we're putting it on them to a greater degree than we should because of our own unprocessed stuff, right? And so let's look at this projecting on other people. We want to kind of replace that with taking responsibility for ourselves. Yeah, taking responsibility for our decisions, our choices, and our own healing journey. Yeah, yeah, taking full responsibility for our own healing journey. And yeah, that does include, establishing boundaries and things of that nature. Healthy boundaries are hugely important. Um, and that's a part of the taking responsibility too. But the thing that we miss sometimes is that some of the stuff that we're projecting on other people isn't always their stuff. Sometimes it's ours. Okay, and so let's address that. Okay. All righty. And when I look at fear for a moment, right? Fear of intimacy. Intimacy is your ability to see yourself in another person, all right? Which is kind of the opposite of the projection, right? Um, Sometimes our ability to look at another person and be able to identify something within ourselves is able to draw us closer to somebody else. Sometimes it's able to draw us closer to the truth about ourselves so that we can address what needs to be addressed within us and bring about some healing in that particular area. All righty. And sometimes for that intimacy to unfold, there's got to be vulnerability. All right. And so I want to address like any type of fear of vulnerability or any aversion to vulnerability. All right. All right. We want to replace that with confidence and the ability to. Now, I don't believe that it's appropriate for you to reveal your nakedness to everybody. And I'm not talking about simply physical nakedness, but internal nakedness. Not everybody can handle that. Not everybody, deserves a front row seat to your life anyway. But there are some people who may be very much worthy of um, being a space, who can handle being a space wherein you are able to share your nakedness, your emotional nakedness, your spiritual nakedness. Okay. And that's a key way to know that somebody really does truly love you, for who you really are. Okay. So I want to look at this fear of vulnerability connected to past hurts, past disappointments, or things that you've even witnessed in other people. And for us all to be strengthened in our confidence that we can be naked and unashamed. Okay. And to be able to find safe space wherein we can share our nakedness. Okay. And where we can responsibly handle someone else sharing their nakedness with us, where we can truly be a safe space, a container that can hold that. All right. All right. That's looking pretty good. How you all feeling out there, by the way? Just want to kind of check in with you all. I know it takes a minute before you hear it from the time I say it, but I'd love to know how you all are doing out there and who's still with us at this juncture. I see. I know that there's several people who've contributed to the chat, and I know that some people have, new people have come in, and love to know who's here with us today. All right, so let's look at what else is going on out here. Let's look at. I want to look at. I want to look at deeply held subconscious memories. Okay, we want to resolve these deeply held subconscious memories. So much of how our lives unfold is a function of what's going on within us subconsciously. Things that we fear, things that we sabotage. A lot of those things are connected to what's going on in us subconsciously, and subconsciously based on, our programming from things that we've kind of put in our minds and put in our hearts, as well as our experiences from things that we've allowed in our minds and allowed in our hearts. And so let's deal with those memories, throughout the nervous system, in our cells, genes, chromosomes, and DNA. Okay. All righty. All right. I'm glad that you're appreciative of the exchange, Danny. Certainly glad to be here and have the ability to share. All right. So let's see. What else? Speak to me, God. What else do we need to address in this now moment? Feeling led to address trauma. Any kind of trauma that has been experienced. Um, we want to resolve that, bring love into that space, being wholeness to that space. Yes. And another thing that I'm just feeling led to look at is like pieces of our soul that we've kind of given away. Okay, where we've lost ourselves in a way, trying to be something for somebody else other than who we really, truly, authentically are. Maybe so that they wouldn't leave, maybe so that they wouldn't hurt us, um, or for whatever other reason. Maybe because they had some kind of power over us. Okay, we want to call those pieces of ourselves, genuine, authentic pieces of ourselves that we gave away. We want to call them back to ourselves, but not with the gook. Not with the gook. We want them to be cleaned off, cleansed, rinsed through the light of God's love, transmuted and purified, and then returned back to us. And then the pieces, Ruby says, feeling energized and hopeful. Wonderful, wonderful. Then the pieces of other people that we've kind of taken, where we've kind of taken other people's power. We kind of maybe deeply subconsciously wanted people to change and be a different version of themselves for us, you know, to be able to kind of give us what it is that we wanted. And so we relinquish that back to them, can actually help us. We relinquish that back to them, cleansed and purified through the light of God's love, and return to them so they can be all that they can be. Yes. Thank you, God. Yes. Yes. All right. So it's now 2 o'clock on the second day of the year 2022. And I think this is a good time to bring us to a close. And before I do that, I thank you, God, for the opportunity to share today. Thank you for the healing that's taken place. Thank you for your love that you continuously pour out to us. And thank you for allowing us to find the grace to receive some of that love today. Thank you for the healing of our hearts that's taken place today that allows us to be able to go forth more freely, more lovingly, more harmoniously, into a greater degree of wholeness. Thank you, God, for all of the many, many, many ways that you give us to rise and shine. And may we honor and glorify you in the process of that. Thank you for all of these gifts of your divine love. Ashe, aho, amen. It is done. It is done. It is done. Okay, well, I hear you, Danny. You're more than welcome, and you all are. I wish you all many, 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 many blessings on this day. I'm sending out all kind of peace and love at 2:02 on the second day of the year 2022. Yes, Daddy, I'm gonna work those twos. You are welcome for the love and the light, and the healing and the space that we've shared. Uh, Thank you for sending out the love and light and blessings to everyone, Curly Conscious King. God bless you. I love you. May we all love on ourselves, love others, lifting others very easily, and know that the foundation of that is loving the source of all life itself with everything that's in us. That's what allows us to walk light. I love you. God bless you. And I look forward to seeing you soon.